Hi, this is Chad with Peptide Test. I wanted to go through the components of our pen kit. It should have everything you need to reconstitute, filter, and set up your pen. So the first step would be to clean your workspace. Look for a space that's non-porous, like wood is not great, but like a kitchen counter would work, or anything that you can wipe down with alcohol. We do sell these platforms, these metal platforms that are great for aseptic work. So before this video, I sprayed this down with 70% isopropyl alcohol and wiped it down really well. It's always a good idea to do the same with your hands before you use it. Any aseptic work, it's a great idea to keep things clean and wipe down with alcohol as much as you can. So this is 70% ISO. It should dry pretty quick. While that's drying, speaking of alcohol, these prep pads come in the kit, and the next thing we're going to want to do is clean the lids of anything we're using, including this Bacteriostatic Water that comes in the kit. This next item, this is just a sample vial of lyophilized powder. So I'm going to wipe that down as well with ISO. You always want to use 70% ISO. Anything that's a higher percentage evaporates too quickly to kind of kill the microbes on it. And then finally, we're going to take this out. This is the cartridge that goes in the pen. Yikes, that is not what you want to do, but what I'm going to do is wipe this down as well, the small end of this. The other end is where the plunger goes. It's not going to be as important. You could wipe it down, I guess, just to keep everything clean. Since I dropped that on the table's clean, but I'll just wipe the whole thing off. It's not going to hurt anything. Okay. Now the next step is going to be Reconstitution. So we're going to take the 3 ml syringe that comes in the kit. And there's 2 size needles in the kit. There's 5/8 needles, those are the shorter needles, and then there's an 1.5 inch needle. The 1.5 inch one is what we're going to use first. So I'm just going to screw that on. This is called a Luer-Lock, this connection right here. Screw it on nice and tight. Pull that out, and we're going to draw, let's say, 1.5 ml. That's 1.5 milliliters of bacteriostatic water out. So what we want to do is draw air of 1.5 mils into the syringe, and then with the vial sitting like this, we want to put our needle in and inject that air that we drew in above the liquid. So now that, and it may want to push out, as you see, that's that pressure that we just put in. So be sure to kind of keep your thumb on it. Then invert it. It should be in the liquid at that point. And we'll draw this back out to 1.5 mils. You're kind of holding with your thumb on the body and pulling with your fingertips. I'm going a little bit past because we've got this air gap at the top that you can kind of see up here. There's a little bit of air, so kind of flick to make sure you don't have any bubbles. And then you kind of push up. We may get a drip or two on our workspace. That's okay. It's not going to hurt anything. Okay, shake that off. Okay, now we've got this lyophilized vial. Lyophilized means freeze-dried, so it's in a puck like this. And normally these vials, not always, but normally they're the freeze dryer, the lyophilizer, caps these things under vacuum. So just be aware that when you push this in, it may just automatically suck the liquid out of here. And we'll see if you see that. That doesn't happen every time, but a lot of times. Okay, now I'm kind of pinching back here, and I can feel it pulling in. So when you see this, when I let go of it, you can just see it shooting in. Like, I'm not pushing at all, but it's sucking all of that in. So I didn't have to push this plunger at all. Just the vacuum in the vial did that. Now, one thing I want to do, because there's still more vacuum in that vial, so what I like to do is right now just undo this just barely so that the air can let in to equalize that vacuum. So now we've got neutral pressure in this vial. So now normally what we would do, you can see the lyophilized powder takes maybe 15 or 20 minutes to totally dissolve, and so we would normally wait for that. So what I would normally do is just pull this out, and then just to keep it in a clean place, I would put it back in there and wait 15 or 20 minutes for that to totally dissolve. But in the interest of this video, I don't want to wait that time. So even though it's a little bit kind of, it's not really chunky, but you can see everything's not totally dissolved yet, but I'm not going to care too much for this video. You would want to do that. Wait 15 or 20 minutes until it's crystal clear. If anything is ever cloudy or has any particulate, and if it's not crystal clear, you should probably get rid of it. It means there's something wrong in the manufacturing process usually. Okay. So now we've got neutral pressure in there. What I'm going to do is I want to add positive pressure. So I'm going to go up to about 1.5 mils of air here. And then I'm going to, again, stay over the liquid with my needle. It's above it. And I'm going to push that air into it. And you're going to feel resistance as you push in there because it's creating pressure in that vial. Now, the reason we use these 1.5 inch needles at first is because they get down into that bottom corner of the vial. So now I've still got my finger on this, but as soon as I let my finger up, that pressure is going to start pushing that up and drawing some of the solution in, as you can see. It's not enough to draw it totally in, so I'm going to have to hold this and push my thumb under here to get it to go up. Now, I want to show you this. When I talk about this bottom corner, I want to tilt it like this so all the liquid's gathered down on the bottom, and I'm just going to push up with my thumb until we draw every bit of that out. And then when it looks like every bit's out, you can kind of turn it a little and keep drawing. It's not going to hurt anything to get some air in that syringe, which I'm doing right now. So it's not even going to hurt to like completely draw it up to say 3 or close to it. So I've gotten everything out of that vial now. It's completely empty, as you can see. All right. And then on this, I do have that air gap because I kept drawing. So, and I also have a little bubble right there. I don't know if you can see it. So maybe flick that, dislodge that bubble, and it'll go up. So everything's up. And then I want to get rid of the air. And again, you may get a little drop or two on your workspace, which is okay. It's not going to hurt anything. Okay. Now, here we go. I've got that completely reconstituted and drawn back in. Now, we're done with the 1.5 inch needle. So I'm going to put it away. I'm actually going to leave that there for just 1 second. The next thing we're going to want to do is filter this solution. And we're going to filter it into this. So to filter, obviously we need a filter. Your kit comes with 2 filters, depending on how much you're doing. We've got a 4mm filter and a 13mm filter. That millimeter just is talking about, it's an indication of how wide the body of this is. Usually, in 99% of cases, when filtering something small like this, something that's going to fit in a 3 ml vial, This 4mm, the smaller one's going to work just fine. The 13 one's going to be a little bit wider, but you have what's called holdup volume, which just means how much fluid in the end gets trapped in that filter and you can't get out. Now you'll mitigate that a little bit by purging it with air, which I'll show you in a minute, but use the smallest filter for the job. So for most water-soluble solutions, like that aren't too concentrated, which is 99% of the time, this 4mm filter is going to be the easiest and best thing to use. But you do have the option, if you have something that maybe aggregates or wants to clog up a 4mm filter, by all means use the 13mm filter. Plus, if you want, it's going to be a little bit easier to push fluid through the 13mm filter. You'll have a little less resistance. So anyway, the way to attach this, at this point, everything we've done so far was going to be filtered. So you didn't have to worry too much about what you touched or anything like that. At this point, you do really have to worry about it. So I don't want anything touching the fluid path where this fluid's going to go. So I'm not grabbing that filter yet. I want to put it on like this, like with it in the case that it came in, and I actually want to crush this down and grab it like this and turn the Luer-Lock in nice and tight. So that's on there good and tight. And again, I want to mount one of these needles, but these are the 5/8 needles, the shorter needles, but I don't want to touch anything here yet. So without touching that, I'm going to put that in. So now at this point, the fluid path is sealed up. I can touch this edge kind of with my fingernail here to get the cap loose and push it on really tight. And now that everything's kind of in place, I can push that on nice and tight and screw that on nice and tight and make sure everything is good and tight. Now, one thing I'm going to need to do, we're going to be pushing this liquid into this 3 milliliter vial cartridge, and what would happen if we just try to push that in there? There's already air in there, so as we push water or the solution in there, that gas that's air is going to compress, and it's going to be hard to push that in there, and it's going to pressurize this whole thing. So to mitigate that, that's what this other needle is for. We're going to take this out, and you can kind of touch this because this is never going to come in contact with fluid. So this is going to be a vent needle. It's going to allow the air that's in there to escape as we put the gas in there. Now, you want to put this on the side as far as you can and just push it through just like that. All right, now we've got this ready to go. We're vented, and so now this is going to be filtering. So we're just going to push this in right next to it, all the way in, and then just to filter, just push on the plunger there. You can see it going in. You want a nice little stream like that. You don't want to do too hard. It's difficult, but you can burst that filter if you push really hard. You just keep pushing until it has all gone through that 0.22 micron filter. That will get rid of any bioburden, like any bacteria get caught in that. Basically, most things that you'd be concerned about, with the exception of endotoxins. Endotoxins are too small to be caught by a filter. So those are things you could test for. Now, what you could have done is when you drew that liquid up, leave that airspace in there, which is actually normally what I do. So instead of that, this time, just for the sake of this demonstration, on top of the filter right here, without touching any of that inlet, I'm going to loosen that up to allow myself to draw just some air in here. I want to draw, I don't know, it doesn't really matter, like 2 ml of air in here. And what that'll let me do is purge this filter. You should be able to see like some liquid and bubbles still in the needle and the filter. And so I'm just going to push that air through. And as this compresses, you'll see kind of a little bit of liquid and foam. Eventually, there it goes. Like push through there. And that gets pretty much everything through there. You're going to have a little bit of hold up, like 0.05 milliliter. So if that's important to you, you want to account for that. So anyway, now at this point, that is all done. So all of your liquid is in your cartridge, and it's filtered. We purged the filter, so everything's good here. Now, one thing you will notice is that there is about half of this is full of air, and that's okay. So I'll show you how to get rid of that now. So here's your pen cartridge, and you're going to take this off. This is the plunger that you can see right here, and this is the cartridge holder. I'm going to screw that off, put the cartridge in there. Now, that's in the way, obviously, but it moves easy. So if you just kind of push that down, then you screw this together. It's kind of hard to do one-handed here. Okay. All right, now that we got that on there, these are your adjustments. These are in units. For U100, it would be the same thing as a U100 syringe. So this goes all the way from 0 to 60 units, 61 technically. So we can't do anything right now because that is sealed. So if we press this up, it would just compress what was in there because it doesn't have anywhere to escape. So we're going to put a needle that comes in the kit on here. So you just peel that off, and then without touching it, you push that on there, you screw it on. It's made to go on there. So there you go. So now it's got a cap on there still. So you can take that loose, make sure that's seated really well. So now with all that airspace, let's go ahead and go all the way to 60 here. And then you just put your thumb back here and push up. Now you can see that rise, and we're just going to keep doing that until we get all the air out. We can do big 60s until we get close here. So now we're getting close to the top. So we want to do a little bit smaller increments. We'll go down to, let's say, 20. 20. Okay, this time let's go even smaller. We're going to go to 10. Because we're almost to the top. Oh, and I don't know if you saw that, but a little bit of liquid came out of that needle. So now this is all set up. Now you could just put it on whatever you needed it to be on, and that's the amount of liquid that's gonna come out of there. So we'll put it on 20 units, and I'm just gonna get a paper towel here, and you can see that when I press this, you can see that 20 units in there, and 20 units will dispense through that needle. Here you go. And that's it. You just continue to put it on whatever you wanted it on there until the cartridge was totally emptied. And so the one thing I didn't show was really, we should have had this on just for instruction. I wanted to show you that, but you would do the same thing here. There we go. So 20 again with this on here. This makes it where you can't see the tip of the needle. If that compresses back, the needle pops out. So you can see here, no needle, press that in, then the needle would go into that paper towel, and I could just press that and it would dispense that amount in there through the needle. So that's pretty much it. That's the entire walkthrough of all the components in the kit, reconstituting, filtering, and then operating that pen. If you have any questions, feel free to email us, info@Peptide Test, and we'll try to answer anything that we can. Thanks a lot.